So we have paradigms, we have boxes, we
have everything.
Yeah, we have all of this. What would you like this audience sitting here and the audience listening in, what do you want them to do with this information? Both your information, the statistics you showed us, these incredible females who have the courage to live their lives in the way they do. What's your call to action?
Well, the call to action, I believe, is that we have to become aware that an image is much more than just an image, and that image could become, that repetition could become, part of the cultural DNA. So we are responsible which images we choose and which images because with social media, as I said before, we are creator and distributor as well of images. And it's important what type of storytelling. For example, something as simple as, oh, she's such a cute little princess. It's we all do that. I catch myself all the time. Oh, it's a prince. Because honestly, the paradigm is so strong and doesn't allow us to come out of it, to come out of this box where women are much more. And I believe that this conversation and this call of action must be done together, men and women.
Let me just follow up with that question. All of these images in the magazines and, the little princess things that you can buy in the store and, all of the things that get marketed after a film and all of that. And what's the incentive for companies who are making a lot of money on these images? What's their incentive to change?
I don't think the incentive from them is when the buyer change. So really, the power is in our hands. I'll give you an example. Right now, most of the companies that are female-oriented, like luxuries company, luxuries brand, or are starting to focus on women empowerment. Why? Because even if as women don't have the money necessarily, we have the power of acquisition. So we choose what to buy in the family, no? So. And we start awakening ourselves thanks to all these movements that are happening. And so we choose what to buy, and therefore the brand is following the new movement. How? They start to put attention, I'm not naming the brands, but there are many of them internationally and globally brands, they're putting the attention on female empowerment. So there is a shift. So I don't know. I believe that the brand will change because we are changing. So they have to follow us because at the end of the day, we have the power of the acquisition, not the brand. We have to remember that we have the power.
And I suspect it's to not go to the movies that don't pass the Bechdel Test. If some of you don't know the Bechdel Test, which is how many times in a film do two named women speak to each other?
This was Gina Davis, right?
Yes, two named women speak to each other about something other than a man.
Yes.
That's the index. And I think Sweden actually does post the index on their films, like America posts our call to action.
I'll give you an example. Not long ago, I was watching one of the first Indiana Jones movies with my daughter. I don't remember the name of it, but it took place in India where they were eating the soup with eyes floating in the soup. And there was a lady, a damsel in distress, in the main role. I believe she's the wife of the director, or was. And she kept falling off the elephant and getting in trouble, and Indiana Jones was saving her. So I'm sitting and watching this movie on Netflix with my daughter, and I couldn't shut up. I was like, this is wrong. Okay, listen, she's 9 years old, my daughter. She was trying to enjoy the film. And I said, this is all wrong. Women are not like that. They don't need to be saved. Okay, in India, I've been there for 2 months. I've never seen a soup with eyes floating in and monkey brain. Please, so it was like this director's commentary from hell, okay? And then I realized that I've watched this film before, and I enjoyed it. Back. In the days, I enjoyed. I did not notice any of that. I was just watching it and loving the adventure. Okay, so I think this paradigms that we're talking about is shifting tremendously. I think we've really, all of us have come a long way in our perceptions, And yeah, I mean, we can't watch it again without being angry, okay? So I think things are happening.
And what do you want people to take away from these extraordinary images that you created?
I want for people not to take pity. I want for people to admire these women because they don't deserve pity. I mean, maybe they deserve compassion, but most of them deserve admiration for what they've done because the way I see them is that they're survivors, okay? They're not victims. You know, we have this word victim that's kind of ingrained in our psyche, yeah? But they're not victims, they're survivors of crimes, they're survivors of rape. These women have turned their lives around. They're walking, okay? After all these trauma that they've gone through, they're still getting up and, you know, being themselves and living a life. So I don't want any pity. I just want admiration.
How could we go through this entire session without somebody bringing up Frozen? The film, right? Which, for me, when I look at Frozen, number one, I look at those really tiny waists. And I'm going,
It's always that tiny waist.
the tiny waist.
It's always, that's a must.
And I did read an article in the New York Times that said 57% of the lines said in Frozen are by men, male voices.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. So, and it's an enormously popular, right, for many girls. What do we do? You know, what's a counteract to that?
Again, we have the power of the remote control. We have the counteract is either we are creator or either we are the audience. The audience is more important in the distribution than the creator, meaning that, of course, the creator is the creator, but the audience is really has the power of which movie is going to be distributed more, because after the first weekend, if the movie doesn't do well, you know, the distribution. So we do have a lot of power. If in, like you mentioned Netflix, you know, how many time a movie get watched. So for us, I think then, again, we go back to, number one, be aware of it. So because until now, as you said, and myself too, you know, at a certain point, I even, you know, maybe wanted to be a Pretty Woman, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So I believe that number one is the awareness. Number two is not a war between men and women.
No.
Quite the opposite. We're here together. So it's putting the light on the value of women, which is not only the exterior part and the age factor, which is really killing me because every day we're losing a little bit. So, so that's extremely important. So when you are aware, then you make the choice. And then you also share with your children, with your peers, with your husband, wife, whatever, you share why you made that choice and why you are not going to look at, in this case, Indiana Jones and say, I want to be her in the elephant that drop all the time and is finally rescue me. Or I don't want to be Pretty Woman. There is a commercial that I really love. I'm not going to say who is this commercial by, but it says, be the CEO that your family wanted to marry, wanted you to marry, you know.
Oh, yes.
So let's not be the girls that drop from the elephant. Let's be Indiana Jones. You know, that's the kind of.
I would also think that you would want to encourage, both of you, the use of social media.
Absolutely, big time.
Where, in a funny sort of way, for naming and shaming, as it were, for some of these.
Absolutely.
What do you think about?
Well, the one thing is, like, let's not be ashamed anymore. I think it's now finish. No more shame, you know. Something that happened to me in Cairo was very close to a sexual assault, okay? And as soon as I came home, I fought it off, and I had my face bleeding. And as soon as I came home, I did a selfie of my face bleeding. And for a year, I was ashamed to post it, to tell people. But then there was a rally in Cairo organized by people who were trying to rally against the subject of sexual harassment. So I posted this picture of myself, my face, on Facebook, where people post their vacation pictures because they want everyone to be envious of how great, you know, your life is. I post my bleeding face, okay? it got shared, it went viral. It helped the rally, it helped the cause, and it also inspired other people to not be ashamed. And I got letters from women telling me their stories, and it emboldened some people. So I think that this time of shame needs to stop. There should not be stigma around the subject. We need to open a dialogue. It's a hard dialogue. These are hard truths, but we need to speak about it. Okay?
And let's shift from the victim to the empowerment, because if we focus,
exactly.
I mean, if we focus too much in the victimized culture, let's remember, we will stay victims. So let's put the energy, let's make sure that all the victims are recognized, and then let's make sure to empower each one of us,
Unfortunately, our time is coming to an end, but both of you do an extraordinary work. You're opening people's minds, both men and women's minds, about putting these photos up like that in that sort of critical way, I should say critical mass way, really helps us understand what's happening. Wonderful phrase, and I guess appropriate to use in Davos. Women are like snowflakes. One alone may melt, but together we can stop traffic. They're stopping traffic. Thank them, our wonderful artists. And thank you all for coming.